For plebs, by plebs, dropping the Bitcoin-only signal. Pleb Underground. Welcome everyone to the Pleb Underground.
Welcome back to Pleb Underground. This is episode 111. They want privacy, black hats, trick fast they played. They don't live in that limelight, but they cast the shade. $20 million, the price DB paid. This mission can't abort, overturn Roe versus Wade. Bitcoin for real, the only thing you can own. 1010 unreal, on the stack it's grown. Proof of ink seal, peel back it's sewn. This year's been plus plus, deal act, I'm flown. Fill up a cup, no shitcoin of tears. I look back at this year, please hold our beers. I'm a little abrasive, but fill in deers. Check the green light, yo, this trap is clear. I will never choke, cause I'm never wrong. Forever joke, this is your song. Forever our folk, hits from you near a bong. I'm their devilish son, not Damien, Junior Gong. Self-sovereignty, best of skill issue. Lethal like shoot to killers, you punch holes in will, tissue. How long can you hold, test your will, issue. When you need a cool name, you know Hooter. Cool, no second dooter. I'm Hooshy Gluter. I'm here to fix Bitcoin, you're really new to the Bitcoin scene, peering with BitcoinShooter.
Walton, your rhymes are always super witty. That was straight fire. Really appreciate it. Guys, we are back. That's right. Welcome back to the Pleb Underground. Joining us today, fellow Bitcoiner, pleb, and filmmaker, we've got BitcoinShooter. Dude, thank you so much for joining us on Pleb Underground. It's going to be a great show. I'm excited to talk about your new movie.
Thanks, man. Yeah, appreciate it. I always watch your guys' show, so I'm happy to be here, man. Happy to be the first one, and I think that's appropriate. So
yeah, I appreciate it. Well, hopefully we can have you back on, right? Very
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay,
Anytime.
cool. Sweet. All right, guys, without further ado, we're going to move it on over to the numbers.
Yeah, the numbers, of course, brought to us by Time Chain Stats and Time Chain Calendar. And Phil, apparently there's some new numbers this week. Is that right?
Are there new numbers?
Are there new numbers?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll take a look. At the time of this recording, the block height is 869,465. The Bitcoin fiat exchange 76,550. Whoa, we're going up. Anyways, all right. Not supposed to care. I don't care. Anyways, Big Macs per BTC. Holy crap, you're getting 2,000 more Big Macs this week than you were last week. 14,866 total public Lightning capacity. Wow, 5,295. Not bad. Lightning still not dead. Anyways, fastest fee, 2 sats per VByte. Look at that. You're getting cheap transactions. You're able to do consolidations. What is going on? This is like a vacation. Anyways, Moscow time, 13:06. Wow, look at that. Guys, I guess Walton was right. There are new numbers. Pretty crazy.
So
was that not the new numbers?
The way that I see it is when you have the price pumping and basically no on-chain fees, kind of suggests that like exchanges are actually like selling real Bitcoin, but people aren't withdrawing it. Maybe.
Interesting take. What are your thoughts, Shooter, on this?
yeah, it's nice to see a 7 in the front. That's cool. And yeah, I don't, I think most people learn the lesson after they feel pain. So I don't know if people are going to start taking custody until like the great rugging of 2025 or something. You know what I mean?
Coinbase now are trusted to hold all of the ETF Bitcoin, so surely you can leave your Bitcoin on Coinbase, right?
Right.
Speaking of which, let me show you guys something, because this is kind of interesting that we're talking about this, right? Tweet from fellow Bitcoiner, right? He is the pleb chainalysis dude, Sani XP. Love his work. If you're not following him for Chainalysis, I don't even know what you're doing.
Isn't this guy like doxing? Isn't he kind of doxing people's Bitcoin though? Like, yeah. I'm not so keen on that. Like,
I'm not either. But you know what? I kind of like to have a pleb that's doing it as well as the giant Chainalysis companies, right? Why not?
So
why should they be the only ones?
He's your friendly spook. It's like,
yeah, he is.
Follow him. He follows you. Like, it's a okay, all right.
That's right.
Anyway,
so here we go. check this out. Since November 5th, a total of 251,045 BTC in short-term held coins, okay, aged 3 months to 2 years, have been moved. Kind of goes back to, like maybe these people, maybe these hodlers, maybe they're not so, maybe they're not like the previous hodlers.
This guy only looks on chain, right? How much moves in Lightning? This like I think
he doesn't
this stuff is,
do Lightning.
Exactly. That's kind of my point. It's kind of my point. Yeah. And so these stats are meaningless.
Oh, okay. Walton says they're meaningless. Shooter, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I like to focus on Lightning more too. And I think a lot of people say it's not going to work or whatever, or no one's going to run their own node, but like two things are happening at the same.
Focus on Lightning more. I'm saying that like if you're looking at
like what does it mean?
Right. Bitcoin moved to only look at on-chain is only looking at part of the picture. You can't look at a lot of Lightning that's moved. You don't know Lightning transactions. You don't know the volume of Lightning transactions. It's impossible to know the total volume of Lightning transactions.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. This stuff is kind of a bit silly to me, but
it's a bit of a nothing burger, right?
Well, these on-chain people seem to make money selling stuff to TradFi, so they're just talking their book. It's
data. But yeah, I think that if I think if anything, right, it's if you're a noob and you haven't been in the space very long and you see something like that, you may think that it means something, but to both of your points, it's a nothing burger. I just thought that it was funny for the timing of this, right? Like we're sitting here, we just finally broke the previous range from 6 months of crabbing, and lo and behold, look what's moving. I don't know. I just find it comical. It's good stuff. Anyways, okay, let's move on to the next numbers thing, right? Because as everybody knows, America's got a new president, and
47.
Of course
47 is the new number, Phil.
No, it's actually not, ironically. But you know what's interesting? It's 17, and I'll show you why.
I thought no.
I mean, yeah, in terms of Donald Trump, but the number here this is a tweet from Jeremy Rubin, right? He got into Bitcoin.
I saw this.
Yeah, as a 17-year-old, right? And now because of Bitcoin, he's claiming, right, that we might see Ron Paul audit the Fed, and like, why is this part of the numbers? Okay, right, guys, let's have the serious discussion.
I feel like you don't follow Jeremy Rubin, but you do follow Luke Mikic. I feel like that that's a swap. That's a clear swap for Signal. Like, but each to their own.
Huh? Do I follow?
That's all I'm saying.
I'm not even sure.
Yeah, it looks like it. Huh?
Oh, okay. Anyways, yeah, no, I did follow Jeremy a little bit ago, but then I stopped.
It's annoying.
It doesn't matter. But yeah, I do agree with you on the swap, though. That is probably a proper swap. I do follow like 1,300 people, though. So, okay, but back to the discussion. So, do we actually think that the Fed is going to get audited, regardless of who is president? Do we really think so?
No.
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I mean, you hope so. I mean, we were kind of touching on this before the show. Like, if there is a Bitcoin future coming, like it has to be realized at some point. And this is what you would see is like honest regulation. But no, it's hard to be optimistic. Seems like it's probably going to be the same shit. I mean, Trump printed more money than anybody. I mean, that's just that. So we'll see. But I think the deficit is the real number to look at. We can determine it by that.
It's good words, right? It's feel good. It is feel good. And of course, right, Ron Paul, his messaging throughout history, right? It just seems like this is it. This could be different. I as much as I hate getting into politics, I remember there was a previous president that was also promising a whole lot of change. I genuinely feel like we're just listening to the same script over and over again with like slightly tweaked points. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I don't really see it as happening. I'd like to see it, like you said, we'd hope so. But I definitely, I wouldn't hold my breath for this. Walton, any final thoughts on this, or?
I mean, we're gonna talk a lot of this kind of stuff later
Yeah.
on, aren't we? But,
yeah, we are. I mean, just for this, in terms of auditing the Fed. No. You also don't think so?
Yeah.
I mean, guys, we're in consensus here. This is 100%.
What does that even mean? Like, what?
That's true too, right? They can probably just tell, like, look, these are the numbers we're going to give you.
What is it? Is it like, are you going to be able to run your own Fed node to like check the audit? Probably not. So what does it? And is it just a static snapshot in time, like basically every financial audit, and so therefore, well, you can pull the numbers in for some period of time, right? You can, I don't know, like it's like you can appear to have the money.
Yeah. Which is pretty much what's going to happen. Anyways, guys. Look, this is going to wrap up the numbers, and we are going to move it on over to the Fireside Chat. Pleb Underground is brought to you by CypherSafe. Check them out at CypherSafe.io. Guys, you know that I am a pet rock enjoyer, and this is the pet rock for Bitcoiners. That's right, the Bitcoin Relo Triangle. 16 ounces of solid titanium. Check it out at CypherSafe.io and look for new products that are going to be coming out very soon at CypherSafe.io. Welcome back to the Fireside Chat. You know who our guest is. We've got BitcoinShooter, and he's got a new movie that is going to be streaming. It was supposed to start streaming around Christmas, but the stars have aligned, and it is going to be coming out a lot sooner. It is called No More Inflation. You can get more information about it at nomoreinflation.com. We're going to check out a trailer, right? We're going to obviously not just tease and not show a trailer. We will. But before we do, right, want to welcome BitcoinShooter here to the show. So again, and thank you very much for sitting down with us. And now we're going to have this wonderful discussion about No More Inflation. And I got to tell you, the movie, I watched two trailers, and the second trailer that I watched, genuinely, I had goosebumps.
Is this film about your follower account and essentially like there can be no more inflation of your follower account because like all of the Natalie Brunell simps already follow you? Is that what it's about? It's like it's like an autobiography.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. That's my rise to fame and how
it's an origin story. Phil loves an origin story.
I love the absolutely.
My thousands of followers. But no, I famously put a clip of Natalie Brunell at Tone Bay's Unconfiscatable.
And you got paid $850 for it, right?
Right.
It's pretty good.
I should have. It would have been worth it. But yeah. So that was my introduction to the Twitter community, coming from typical videography, and I got some shit for it, but it was all in good fun. And I've talked to Natalie many times, and she's great. Obviously, I think we're mostly just having fun. But
so to talk about the real films, there are a few filmmakers in the Bitcoin space, and we've had one on the show, Mr. Waltz. How would you say? I guess all of these films are about Bitcoin. All of these films are about inflation. All of these films are about various things connected to them. But what makes them different, I think, is very much the director's style and their vision for what they're making. Or they say director. Often the director producer is the same kind of person. Like as the cinematographer, what was your vision and like what sets you apart from these other people making films in this space?
Yeah, so I think first of all, you're absolutely right. When you see a film, you're seeing it through a filter. It's information that is being filtered through that person's brain. And for example, I've listened to some interviews from the God Bless Bitcoin movie, and Brian Estes or whatever, he funded it, and he had a vision for it, and then he hired a filmmaker to help bring his vision to life. But obviously those things never align, right? Unless you can actually do it yourself. So with that film, what you see is a combination. What you really see is Brian Estes' vision filtered through somebody else, and then you've got that. So With people who are more hands-on themselves, and I know Waltz or Raw Avocado, he does a lot of the work himself too. So you're
All
getting
of
a
it.
more, yeah, you get it's just one filter. It's not two filters, right? And so yeah, you can when that's the case, it also can bring a little bit of pressure on the filmmaker because there's no excuse, right?
Is it like the game of Chinese whispers? Do you guys call it that? Maybe Americans don't call it.
All right,
Do you know the
telephone.
game?
Yeah, it's a game of
Well, like
telephone.
it's basically it's like kids sitting in a circle, right? And you have to
Yeah.
like pass a message on,
Yeah,
and
it's called
like the more
telephone.
people it goes through, usually the more fucked up the message gets, right?
Yeah.
And so
Right,
it's
exactly.
it's a bit like one of those things, I guess. If you have like one mission, then and you're the only person that has to hold it, you don't have this like transfer or like kind of perception aspect
Right.
to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then in terms of like what sets me different, I've always, for whatever reason, gravitated towards human stories. That's what I like. I feel like
Yeah.
there's a lot of information in someone's face when they're going through emotions, and I think that really resonates with people. And so I always felt like whenever, I made short films for businesses for 15 years, and that's what I would focus on. Like, let's tell a good story of one of your customers or one of your employees or your CEO or something. Let's just like, let's not make this an ad. Let's make this like a film, a short film that just happens to be about your business. And so, yeah, with that and with this film, I realized like the goal was to reach people outside the Bitcoin bubble. And to do that, you have to relate with them. And the most relatable thing is to show people like them, And so there are some big names in the film, but mostly it's just regular people from the US, from Jamaica, from Argentina, from Venezuela. So I think that's kind of what sets me apart is I really focus on the human story of it. And really the whole film is framed around my own story of how I got into Bitcoin and just, things that I struggle with at our age and just what a lot of our generation struggles with, which is just even trying to fucking buy a house or feel comfortable to have children. I live in Los Angeles, like even if you
Expensive.
make a couple $100,000 a year, dude, you're still not buying a house. Like it's just, yeah.
If we're looking at the money side of things, in your former role, these companies were paying you to make this video. Like, how do you finance a Bitcoin movie? I know, like Alex Waltz makes some incredible film, but like getting the finances to really kind of do this full time for an extended period of time is really, really challenging in the Bitcoin space. Like, how do you how do you finance your film?
Well, I wouldn't recommend it, honestly. I mean, I think part of the reason why I was able to do it is because it is a Bitcoin film, and I know the opportunity that Bitcoin has for everyone in the world. And so that's the kind of thing that helps keep you going when things are getting tough. But for me, I mean, of course, I've used my own money, but I've also raised money from individuals. There's been no corporate sponsorships, nothing like that. It's just been plebs and Bitcoiners that had seen some of my work before and saw the plan that I had, and which essentially was make a film that the average person can watch and make the most powerful orange pill that exists. And they believed in me, and so that's how I did it. But it wasn't easy, and I was raising money the whole time that I was making the film. And I made the 10-minute film about El Salvador beforehand, which Nayib Bukele reposted. So there was plenty of proof of work. So I think it's a combination of luck and preparation, right? And that's El Salvador film I did completely on my own. Like I funded that. No one gave me money at all, nothing. And so that was kind of something I took a risk on, and I didn't plan on rolling into a second film. It just happened that way. So it was a combination of luck and hustle and talent, and even then, like, yeah, one of the cool things that happened was Adam Back was the first person to support me financially. And that happened like the day after I announced the project. And that immediately
You said you're not financed by like any companies, but like that's basically tether money, bro. Like that's basically.
Well, wait a second. That's basically Blockstream
money. Like that. No, but where the
It's the
Blockstream get there?
lizards.
Like,
It's
come
MasterCard.
On. No, come on. This is tether money. This is CIA money. How
Come
does that fit?
on. All money is CIA money, Walton. Come on.
Right. So I mean, the thing is
said.
like If it was Tether money, it would have come from other places too. But again,
I'm just messing.
No, yeah, we're just giving you a hard time.
but the thing is that created so much momentum from the jump of the project, and I didn't know at the time, but like it was so helpful because in the middle of the project there, I was working a lot, but financially there was no momentum. And so anyway, again, combination of luck, combination of hard work, and yeah, man, it's not easy. Like if I had to do it again, it may not have happened. Like I think again, it was just a little bit of luck too.
Very cool. So you know what? Right now, I think we did a great job teasing it all. Let's take a look at one of the trailers, okay? I'm going to put this up. Here we go.
My grandparents, they could own a house and a summer house, have a car, 3 kids, and save money for the future on one income.
I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to afford a house. I don't know how I'm going to be able to put food on the table for my family because of the rising costs.
Inflation equals Great Depression or like great anxiety.
I don't believe inflation is going to stop.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that's a treat. But the next day, it's just breakfast.
Remember when you went out with only 5 pesos in your wallet?
Now, 1,000 pesos wouldn't buy 2 cartons of yogurt.
You end up begging for the government to provide you assistance.
It's so hard to find food, even if you have the money.
Inflation, it is like a fight in a war. Hyperinflation is the cause of all of the major totalitarian regime development historically.
Out of the 237 fiat currencies, there has never been a single one that didn't die an early death in hyperinflation.
Civilizations have experienced this throughout time. It happens over and over again.
We are likely to have hyperinflation.
It's just a matter of when is it coming.
The only reason why things get more expensive is because money is being printed.
Where does it come from? Do you just print it?
We print it digitally. As a central bank, we have the ability to create money.
And then government spends that money.
Why would anybody do that? To give government the economic power to enforce what they believe is right, which seems to be infinite wars.
We as a species devote enormous amounts of money to funding warfare.
You could not produce what the U.S. military-industrial complex produces if you didn't have the ability to print money.
To me, that's a horrific and disgusting aberration of human behavior, and I believe we can actually stop that from happening with Bitcoin.
People do not understand how profound this technology is by separating state and money.
Without the success of Bitcoin, financing war will continue, posing an existential threat to the entire species. The stakes are that high. I fear for my life, the lives of my loved ones, and the future of our species.
That was an amazing trailer. Like that's
fucked, right?
Yeah,
like,
pretty much. We're pretty much. So okay, there is one thing I do want to say, because I've thought about this a lot and I've gone back and forth about it. And it has nothing to do with criticism about the movie. It has to do with Bitcoin and war. When I first started to really fall down the rabbit hole, I was absolutely certain that Bitcoin could stop wars. Then I continued to learn about Bitcoin and continued to learn about incentives. And then I came to the point of a middle ground saying, well, it won't stop the wars entirely, but it can slow them down. And now I fast forward another few years later, and I've come to the point of infinite human stupidity. All we're going to do is print a bunch of fucking money off of the Bitcoin reserve, if that's the case, and continue these infinity wars. So for me, I've come to the full circle of until we change as humans, this never ends. And Bitcoin is obviously the only tool to even come close to helping to bring people to a place where they can start to have those thoughts and realize that they're on this treadmill. And that's, yeah, this is where I've come to, you know. So I know it sounds terrible, but like I don't believe in the utopia of no war anymore. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think if you ask somebody who supports what is happening with Ukraine and Russia, like in terms of us funding weapons for Ukraine, or the other way too with Israel and Gaza or whatever, and they say, yeah, like I support what they're doing, and you said, okay, would you pay $500 to pay for some of the things that are, to pay for those weapons that are being built over there? I think most people would not. I think that
Agreed.
they would vote, when you're voting with actual dollars, it means more, or actual money rather, right? And so you're right. Maybe the strategic reserve can lead to the government being able to do more of this bullshit, which is why I think the more important message to get across is that printing money, is the problem. And so if the government does have a strategic reserve of Bitcoin, also make sure we're aware that they're not printing it, because that's the most important thing. And so I think I think there needs to be a global consciousness change in consciousness where people realize like, oh yeah, that printing money, that's not good. I don't want money to be printed anymore at all. And then we'd have to be more diligent, or I don't know. I can't pretend to be smart enough to know what's going to happen if the government really does stack 1 million Bitcoin. I don't know if it's either going to, in my opinion, it'll be an extremely great thing, or it'll be an extremely bad thing. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure which one it'll be.
It's kind of interesting, right? Because everything seems to be a double-edged sword, but I don't know if it just has to do with my perception or my choice of perception, but it almost seems like we have this knack for turning really good things into really crappy things. Like I remember, for example, right? Because I'm old and a Gen Xer, so like I remember when the internet was first, gonna be huge and everybody was gonna have the internet at home, and it was like, oh yeah, you're gonna get so much more work done, you're gonna have access to so much more information, it's gonna be amazing, you'll be able to do everything. So we fast forward, and well, the virtues of it kind of came, the virtues of like a bump in technology kind of came, but people are still working 80-hour weeks. So they didn't, right? We're not working less and producing more. We're working more and producing about the same, if not producing less. So that didn't frickin' happen. And then when we take a look at the internet, all that happened was we as individuals have become monetized for the corporations. So it's like we just, like I'm like, why do we suck? Like, is it the broken money that makes us suck?
Yeah, I think it's hard to quantify how much of that comes from just us sucking and how much is from the money, right?
I guess
and
money can make people suck. Like that's the kind of the story, is it? That's what's going on, Phil?
Well, if the more you suck, the more money you make.
Don't suck. Like that's how I look at it.
Right, but the problem is the incentive, right? The more you suck, the more money that you can make, and if you're really to suck really hard and to
what is this? OnlyFans? Like, come on, guys.
Exactly, dude. It really is.
Let's shoot a cook.
It really is. No. It really is. So I think it's just hard to separate that. And you said we're producing the same. We're producing the same amount of stuff. We may be producing the same amount of stuff, but if you measure it in actual quality, we're like. That's going down and down. Even like the nutrients in our food, the soil is going to shit. Like just actual quality is decreasing. And again, to go back to war briefly, I think again, not only will people not actually pay out of pocket for these things to happen, but war also comes out of turmoil and like desperation and like communities or civilizations being like, things are really bad and something needs to change. And I think with more prosperity, people can actually save money. If you can actually just save your time and money, there'll be more prosperity and less of a want to fight, less of just an overall anger and frustration. So I think that's the argument for Bitcoin solving war. Again, I think it would significantly reduce it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And again, like I think like Matt Hill saying in the trailer and in the film, like, if you can keep printing money, they're just going to keep making like, bigger bombs and stuff. And
right.
Like what's to stop them? So without Bitcoin's success, it just seems like that's inevitable. So even if it doesn't stop it altogether, we need it to fucking slow it down dramatically. Most of us don't want to kill people, right? I mean, like, fuck, dude.
That's
like,
right. The average person
right?
doesn't.
It's not us. It's not
No.
what we want. It's not our decision. It's not our fucking motivation, you know, but it's happening. So yeah.
Yeah, Bitcoin is definitely, you know, and again, right, like not to, it's not grim. The point is that we need one solid foundation. We currently do not have any form of solid foundation. The broken money all over the world has, as we know, skewed everything for everyone. And it's like, I feel like it's that turn of the Rubik's Cube, right? Like Bitcoin is that final turn of the Rubik's Cube, and that's it. Now the board can be played on. And now we're just essentially waiting for this to happen. So I do hope that it's true and that Bitcoin does become a tool to help enable the lessening of the desire to create war for prosperity and control and all that stuff. I really do hope so. But I genuinely think my bet is on humanity changing, not necessarily Bitcoin. But again, this kind of goes back, right? The chicken or the egg, right? We have Bitcoin, and then all of a sudden humanity can break free possibly and start to start to look at things differently.
Here,
yeah.
Let me show you something here, because like,
show it. Let's do it.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not convinced. Let's have a look. So like,
he's not buying our Hopium.
You talk about this is not Hopium, bro. You talk about humanity, right? And like maybe like humanity's headed in the right direction. Like humanity is getting what's the word? Like propagandized, like harder than ever, right? Like people live inside algorithms now, right?
The numbers aren't boding well for us.
Right.
But this is just like in the media, right? This is what the media is putting out, right? So it's whoever actually believes in it.
They're being bombarded like more and more by divisive kind of language, and so and I think it's showing. I feel like I don't know. It's nice being in like Bitcoin bubbles, but like when you're outside the Bitcoin bubbles, like most people are just kind of a bit, bit done, bit tired.
That's actually part of it.
Not really headed in the right direction, and that's because of this kind of stuff. Like I'm trying to think who. There's some like Russian propagandist that basically explains that like the purpose of all this kind of dystopian stuff is to kind of like numb you to it, and so people will all just become numb to everything. They become numb to kind of the horrible things they think are happening or maybe are happening. But they also kind of become numb to kind of, I think, a lot of the kind of positive stuff. And so everyone becomes this kind of like gray, like soulless kind of creatures. I think people talk about, there's loads of NPCs out there. I start to wonder, maybe NPC is like a trauma response to this shit. Like maybe actually they go into this self-protective, so to speak, things because they can't cope with the constant propaganda and they don't have the tools to
It's a double-edged sword because like either you're one of these groups that are feeling discriminated, or like you look around like, are these people thinking this bad thing of me, or vice versa. You could be white male and be like, oh, is this guy looking at me thinking that I think, because he's black, like he's a criminal? Like both people get affected by it. But like Phil said, the chicken and egg, I think the thing is that there is no two separate things as the chicken and egg. It's like they go together. And if money was good, we wouldn't have Bitcoin because there would be no need for it, And I think that with these people too, one of the reasons why they're buying into all of this is because they're literally malnourished, right? Like they're being fed junk, and they're also like social media has given them big stomachs, like they see a lot of things that they want and they wish they could have, but inflation has given them tiny mouths where they can't barely eat anything. So they're so hungry, and they just feel like just people are like taking from them, and it's unfair. And so in a way, I understand why they would become so pessimistic with all the media they're pushing out, with literally being malnourished, with feeling like the world is broken, but not understanding why. Maybe it's racism. Maybe it is racism. It's so fucked up. Something really bad must be going on. But I think, yeah, once you find out it's just the money, and it's like, oh, these motherfuckers are just trying to draw lines in every way that they can between us. We don't realize the only line is those printing money and those who don't, and of course in the middle, the closer you are and so on. But really, that's the line, and it's just all a distraction. So anyway, I don't know how I ended up there, but
yeah, it really is always, I mean, to your point, it always is the broken money. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And this is why I think so many people that come to Bitcoin and that end up going down the rabbit hole just completely end up obsessed, right? Because it becomes all so clear. So yeah, I do agree with you. I like your take about that. It's not the chicken or the egg. They are the same, right? Everything is contained in one. Right, like it's very interesting, and I do agree with you. I think that is correct, and I had the wrong analogy with that of saying the chicken or the egg, because indeed they are contained. And to your point, if we had good money, we wouldn't need another tool. So this is all spot on. So before we wrap up the fireside chat, I got to ask you though, even though I know that you're just about to start streaming this one. Are you already working on another project?
I've kicked around some ideas, and to touch on what you said earlier too, and in the trailer you saw, it has a date of Christmas 2024. But
yes,
things have been moving along a little more quickly than I thought. So the new release date is November 21st. 21st is a good day. And so it'll be ready for, Thanksgiving weekend. So, with all-time high and people talking to their families and shit, if they want to watch this, I think it's a great, again, I really see it as a tool for people. It's going to be like, normally you would recommend them to read the Bitcoin Standard. This is what you send them first. And this will be condensed information in 1 hour that will likely inspire them to actually read the fucking book that you got them. So
Bitcoin books are a scam. Don't buy them.
Yeah,
we can't have any more authors on this show because Walton reminds them.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you for coming on the show. You're a scammer. Goodbye.
Yeah. I have a funny clip I was on Newt's show, and Canute was like we were talking about writers, and I'm like, yeah, they're just, movies a much easier ask. And Canute's like, yeah, fuck books. They're boring as fuck to write and more boring to read.
I mean, okay, so to be fair, right? To be fair,
no one reads these books anyway. Look,
everybody,
what these things are. These are look, all these books. People are selling fucking signatures. This is like celebrity autograph bullshit. Is what's going on, and people are paying the book price for the signature. That's it. That's all the deal is. Some of these people read some of these books, but like, oh come on, like a lot, like. Some of these guys, like, what? Why? It's like you develop a bit of a following, and then you gotta write a book about what? Like, you don't need to read a single book to understand Bitcoin.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And just to finish up, my point was about your point that video media is so much easier. I mean, so I've given this story before, right? So I introduced my father to Napoleon Hill, right? His type of writing, right? And one of the books one of his most famous books is Think and Grow Rich, and you could watch it on YouTube. Okay, you can listen to it on YouTube. It's about 10 hours long, right? All you got to do is listen. You hit play and you listen. So I sent that to him, okay? And maybe a half an hour later, he turned to me and he was like, "Okay, so what's the secret?" So it's like, and that right there, to me, illustrated exactly what it is, right? Nobody has the attention span that we used to have. For whatever reason, it's just everybody it's just all like
all the time now.
Yeah.
Like, so one of the factors is like it's a bit like your muscles are able to do what they do frequently. It's the same with your brain, right? So like your concentration is getting depleted in part because people consume a lot of short form content. So people are scrolling Twitter, watching 10-second TikTok videos, all this kind of stuff is meaning that you have like zero concentration. Maybe I'm pretty in this group too, like a little bit. Like I don't watch the short videos, like but like
I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Is it also the amount of content, maybe? Like, because we're so bombarded that we feel that we can absorb everything, so that we have,
and then you're looking for the next like hook. Yeah, it's basically like it's a dopamine addiction, right?
Yeah.
I think you can be inspired to dedicate time for long form, in different topics. If you're like, oh, that's something interesting I want to learn more about. But yeah, I think that has to be the initial step if you're trying to reach general people. It's got to be more digestible. And film's awesome because you take over all the senses. I mean, visually, audio, music communicates emotions. Again, the face is like someone I knew had macular degeneration, which means that they couldn't really see very well anymore. Everybody becomes blurry. And they said one of the things, and they got this device that kind of like helped them, like a VR type of thing, which helped them actually see better. And so they're like, oh, we've seen people's emotions for the first time. And they're like, you don't realize how much information is on someone's face. And when you can't see them, when you're talking to them, you really can't get a good feel. So anyway, film just lets you see all of that, literally will transport you to different places. And it's so easily shareable. Anybody who has a smartphone can watch it. And so it's a good way to infect people, I think. And in my opinion, I read the Bitcoin Standard. It was very helpful for me. I think everybody should read the Bitcoin Standard. And but I think, you need to be inspired first. You need to like, why the fuck should I even do that? Like, why, And I think in order to do that, you need to understand the problem first, that Bitcoin fixes, and then you can appreciate the solution.
Well, there you go. We got both sides. Got both sides over here. No reading, some reading. I'm kind of in the middle. I like to listen to audiobooks. But anyways, we're going to wrap up the Fireside Chat because we got to move on. But
I'm terrible. I just scrolled Twitter, and that's how I just found out that apparently CZ is going to speak at the Bitcoin conference in Abu Dhabi in like next month.
Of course he is.
Like what? What? Wait, let's
tell
go.
everybody about his push-ups. That's right, because CZ was doing the push-ups in jail. Anyways,
was he really? That's
yeah,
funny.
yeah, he was talking about that. People were like, "Whoa, CZ's ripped," and everyone's like, "Oh, alt season is back." It's like, relax, okay? This guy being ripped doesn't mean your bags are gonna pump. It just means he's gonna dump harder because he's been out for a few months.
His bags pump.
His bags pump. Okay, but before we wrap this up, Shooter, how do people find, and obviously this is all going to be in the show notes, how do people find you, and how do they find the movie?
Yeah, so the movie, nomoreinflation.com, there's a couple of 2-minute trailers there, and there's 3 like extended interviews with somebody who lived through hyperinflation in South Sudan, Rockstar Dev, and Graham Hancock, the presenter of the Netflix series Ancient Apocalypse. So there's nice extended interviews for you there. You can get more information about what's going to be in the film. And then Twitter at BitcoinShooter, and again, it'll be available on November 21st. I'll drop another trailer so people will likely see it. And I hope people check it out, and I hope they share it with their family, and hope to hear their feedback and how it goes. I think at a minimum it should spark the conversation, especially now, right? Like, people are starting to reach out like, hey, Bitcoin's looking pretty good, huh? You must be feeling pretty good. So I think, again, it's just one of these things in life where the timing just seems to be perfect. So I'm really looking forward to it. And that was the whole point in the beginning anyway, was to try to reach people and, try to help them. So we'll see how it goes, man. I'm excited. Very excited.
Very cool. Yeah, we're excited too. And obviously we are going to retweet it out from the Pleb Underground account when that comes out. And guys, all of that information is going to be in the show notes. That's going to wrap up the Fireside Chat. And we are going to move it on over to REKT. Pleb Underground is brought to you by our newest sponsor, KnowHue. Check them out at knowhue.com. That's right, guys. The best Bitcoin builders in the space are coming together under one banner. Look for more people and more companies to be joining knowhue.com. Proof of Ink, Stack Chain Magazine, BTC Pins, Asanoha Gold, CryptoCloaks, and BTC Sessions are already members. Go check out what's going on at nohue.com. All right, welcome back to REKT. Look, I don't like talking about BSV, okay? But shitcoins are shitcoins, and like, you know, just like herpes, right? Like, this dude does not go away, okay? CSW does not go away. Anyways, so this is a pretty funny account. Balzac, all right? This is too funny, sucks but funny. And what is he talking about? Here we go. This person, I sold 23 cryptos in 2018, all converted to BSV that would be valued at around 12 million pounds plus. My entire BSV holdings is currently 49,143 pounds. He's down bad. That is very down bad, and look, this is kind of what you can expect from BSV. This guy's lucky that it's not zero. But anyways, speaking about the person that will not go away, guys, we were all excited, right? Hodl won his case against CSW, and then we saw the glorious CSW versus COPA trial that took place, where Judge Meller handed him his own ass. And yet somehow it just won't disappear. So here we go. Tweet from Arthur Van Pelt. For those who are not up to speed yet about Craig's most recent COPA appeal shenanigans. That's right, guys. He is appealing. Okay. He still wants to cosplay as Satoshi because keeps the lights on, I guess. And he's mentally ill. That's just my opinion. So here's an example of what Craig Wright filed as new evidence. And guys, I'm not going to lie. This new stuff is a lot like the old stuff, okay? And of course, the Bitcoin community on Reddit cannot help clicking the links. And what happened next is nothing short of hilarious. All right, guys. So you'll take a look at these links, okay? Blockstream created liquid. Blockstream liquid analysis. Bitcoin Core sidechain influence. Chaincode Labs Bitcoin development. Okay, so you can see that these are all just the same words chopped up. Take a look at this, okay? What the hell is this? These links not only don't work, but there's no evidence of them ever existing that I could find. They're not just broken links. They appear to be made up completely by Craig, or most likely hallucinated by Craig's ChatGPT bot. A lot of the URLs are also extremely similar, suggesting it's just an LLM generating what it thinks these URLs should look like. Notice that it's just a lot of different combinations of sidechain, Blockstream, Bitcoin Core, liquid development, and funding. I'm sorry, but yeah, CSW, it's just the same crap. It is just the same crap. He's down bad. Any thoughts, Shooter, on this fun stuff? Have you seen that he back and he crying?
No, I don't understand. I don't think you can understand the state of mind you have to be in, I guess. I mean, I think at some point, even if you are Satoshi, you have to realize that if you can't sign a message or move the coins, I don't think there's really a great way to prove it. I mean, even like he fabricated some things and he didn't fabricate them very well, like obviously, you know what I mean? So yeah. If somebody was more talented, they could do a much better job at fabricating things. But ultimately, I would never believe it. I mean, of course, I don't really care who Satoshi is, but I would never believe it until they signed a message, Otherwise, like, you can't prove it. That's just the future we live in. If something's not cryptographically signed, like Rockstar talks about this in his interview with me. He's like, how do we know that Joe Biden put out that tweet saying like, oh, I'm gonna, not run anymore? How do we know it wasn't somebody else? How do we know it wasn't Elon? There would be no way to know unless he actually signed it. So, yeah. And then on getting wrecked, it just sucks that people pay different tuition prices. And there's different ways. There's lots of different ways of getting wrecked. I met a guy who bought Bitcoin at $100 and sold it all at 300 to buy a pizza shop. He still works in that pizza shop and he's not very happy. So everybody out there who wishes you got in earlier, maybe you don't. So anyway, yeah, I think everyone gets wrecked. I've been wrecked, and everyone just pays a different price.
That's right. Unfortunately, the BSV bag holders, I feel, are somewhat paying some of the biggest prices here. But yes, I do agree with you in terms of that. If you came in earlier, would you really, everybody always thinks it's so easy because you've already seen it go to 70K. So no shit, holding it at 10 cents all the way up made sense, right? That's a no-brainer. It's like, yeah, hindsight's always 20/20. This is, again, right, just our hubris and infinite human stupidity. But okay, moving on from Craig, unless Walton wants to comment on some of the Craig shenanigans. Yeah, no.
Craig's not worthy.
He's right. But I just wanted to make fun of him for REKT. That's why he's REKT. Okay, so this one might be a little bit controversial because I know he's the Bitcoin president and everybody loves him. But yes, I'm featuring him on REKT because, he's the new president, right? Donald Trump. But just reminding everyone, right? Predator, reminding everyone that MAGA token that he and his family were shilling just before the election. Well, if you got in on that, you are down a whopping 94%. So yeah, good times. Now, the final thing here. Shinobi put out an article. Actually, second to last thing. Shinobi put out an article today, and here it is. Trump is not Bitcoin's savior. Now, I want to get your thoughts on this, but before we do, I just want to remind everyone, CryptoCloaks is doing his awesome Christmas giveaway. This is super cool, okay? They essentially, like all the Bitcoin, like all these Bitcoin companies, all Bitcoin creators, artists, all kinds of stuff, they just like, we all just donate a whole bunch of stuff, and CryptoCloaks takes all the time to put it all together, put together the giveaways, all this amazing stuff, guys, plebs. If you want to get free swag, this is probably one of the best ways to do it. And it comes around Christmas, which is awesome because everybody deserves gifts, contrary to the mean things that parents will tell you in order to get you to behave. You still deserve a gift. Everybody deserves a gift. Why not, right? Why not? Anyways, so yeah, CryptoCloaks doing his giveaway. Now, Donald Trump, Bitcoin president. Okay.
Yeah. I think.
What are your thoughts, Shooter? No. Let's just dive right into it. So, he said the words.
Yeah. I mean, if hyper Bitcoinized future is coming, then the government will change, right? Obviously, it's So I think it's good to be skeptical, but someday it must happen. But ultimately, too many people believe in Trump as a savior, not necessarily Bitcoiners, probably some, or I don't know, maybe most, but most people who don't, Trump's going to fix everything, and so obviously it's important to remind people that it's about you, it's about taking responsibility for yourself. No one's going to come save you. And so the Trump coin, it's a great example of that. And who knows, right? Like the thing is, you never know what happens in the world because the left is going to attack Trump over anything they can, right? So they might come out and be like, oh yeah, fucking this crypto coin from Trump is so fucking awful. And maybe they'll get to a point where they're like, Bitcoin is the only one that's actually worthy. See, like Trump is a scammer just like the rest of these coins. And it's just like, so anyway, like you never know what's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, but just obviously you don't trust anybody. Whoever was going to be president, the only thing you can do is really just stack sats and try to be healthy. I mean, all this stuff is just a distraction anyway, but hopefully he does these things, especially freeing Ross. I mean, like, I don't know how he couldn't do it. So I think that's why most Bitcoiners are cheering for it, is because let him out. And I think we're happy with that. We'll take what we can get, right?
Yeah, it's a very slippery slope, because obviously the amount of Bitcoiners cheering for Trump gave rise to the whole Bitcoiners are statists, right? But I will say this, right? Just in terms of politicking and being able to garner support, if he frees Ross, right, and if he commutes a sentence, does that not gain him incredible favor with Bitcoiners, even though I understand he's a businessman, I understand he's not a lifelong politician, but he is, for all intents and purposes, as president, a representative of the state, the representative of the state, right? So I think about this, like I try to reconcile this in my own mind, right? Like it's like I would be happy, right? And I'd be proud that he did this. But like, it like you can't paint it with a rosy-colored lens because it's still a representative of the state. But it's still a good thing that he would free Ross. So it's a good thing, and it's
better than the alternative.
Right?
I mean, like the alternative is just like there's just literally was not like, I don't know. It's hard. It's incomprehensible, really. So, yeah, we'll just, it's a good thing. And again, like, who knows, right? Maybe that will build a relationship with libertarians and Trump. I don't know, man. I don't fucking know. It does feel like things are changing. There's a real desire out there for things to change. But anyway, I'm hopeful. I really am hopeful for the future, but I, prepare for the worst. I think that's the way to do it.
Walton, any final thoughts on this?
I think like we're gonna find out what happens, right? Ultimately, like I think I don't know. There's a lot of people that very very excited about the news for Ross, and I think that for the bigger picture perhaps, but I don't know. We're gonna get into I think some of those kind of trade-offs of Trump in the Hopium.
Okay. Well, never forget. He sold his Cassatius coin. Just saying. He didn't care. He's down bad. That's just my opinion. Anyways, guys, that's gonna wrap up REKT, and we are gonna move it on over to the Hopium.
The Hopium.
The Pleb Underground is brought to you by Thunderfunder. Check it out, thunderfunder.com. Thunderfunder is a funding portal registered with the SEC and a member of FINRA. Their mission is to provide retail investors access to investments while supporting the growth of open source projects. They love Bitcoin. Check out their shitcoins. That's thunderfunder.com.
Welcome back to Hopium, as we are currently breaking all-time highs during recording. But I'm here to share some real Hopium because why is Bitcoin pumping? Well, it's thanks to Trump, right? Trump did all the hard work. None of you guys did anything. Like do you even drink Diet Coke? Like are we like are you even in the whole squad? Like the whole squad, if you're not aware. Like I see some great posture here, some good green lines. Like how fucking tall is like column Trump at the back there? Like, but I don't know. It's like Elon's kind of at the front here, huh? Trump's kind of at the back. It's interesting. Some interesting things in that photo. But yeah, I don't know. This is the everyone's dream, right? Bitcoin's pumping. It's thanks to these guys. And what else? Like we already knew it was going to happen because so I'm like
Folly market.
Fuck this guy. I don't know who this guy is, but he's got Solana in his name, so fuck you. I think Polymarket is this some shitcoin thing? All I know is people are betting on things and it's accurate. Look, it's accurate, right? Trump won, and it like people knew Trump was gonna win for the last month solidly. Yeah. Elon Musk, you are the media now. Why? Like Twitter seems to be ahead on what's about to happen in the world, right? Or what's happening in the world. The kind of predictive nature of Twitter, I think it's kind of interesting. Like, and is it also a coincidence that essentially who controlled Twitter the last two elections also, essentially got their person in for the presidency? Twitter seems to be very important for like judging and predicting and maybe directing world events. But yeah, here you go. Elon wanted Trump, and you have Trump and Elon. Is this good? I don't know.
Yeah, I think well, I think maybe X is so impactful because it's the one that stepped out, right? Because everything was coordinated before.
Right. $44 billion is a lot for a company, but it's not a lot for a country. So
exactly.
What are you buying with that platform, right?
Right.
Yeah, some food for thought. There does seem to be, some talk that maybe there's going to be a few things shaken up under Trump, and RFK, who switched sides, if I'm not mistaken, sorry, is apparently going to get some power. I don't know if he's going to be in charge of the CIA, though. That might be amusing. But he is apparently going to be in charge of food and getting rid of seed oils. Yeah, let's listen here.
The key that I think that President Trump has promised me is control of the public health agencies, which are HHS and its sub-agencies, CDC, FDA, NIH, and a few others, and then also the USDA, which is key to making America healthy, because we've got to get off of seed oils, and we've got to get off of pesticide-intensive agriculture. The key that I think,
yeah, maybe Bitcoin fixes everything, right? Or Trump fixes everything, right? Because Trump's going to put RFK in charge of the Department of Health, the CDC, the FDA, the food standards at USDA. Like all drugs and food are now under RFK's purview, and Americans are going to be all hot, and RFK has joined the mission to make America sexy again, not just Bitcoin. What do we think, guys?
Again, I think this is, if you imagined a Bitcoin future, this is what it sounds like. I mean, Trump even said, because part of my film covers food and health, and one of the things I found out was there's this revolving door, right? The people who regulate biggest companies go work for those companies. And so one of Trump's things that he said recently is he's going to make that illegal. And so again, like, a lot of the things that I think plague these industries, I mean, they're saying they're going to fix it, but I don't know. Like Walton said before, we're just going to have to wait and see. Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. I don't know. It seems like half the country seems very upset. Half the country is very happy. And I don't know. I think just in general, there's going to be disharmony no matter what. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see.
I mean, disharmony seems to be baked into the into the system. It's just obvious. Like, you have this divisive system. You have one side, the other side. They both champion two different extremities, and you never really find a middle ground. But look, in terms of Trump for president, right? Again, this kind of goes back to the whole Ross thing. I think that, if he garners the support of Bitcoin supporters, I think that that's huge. I do think that that's massive. And I think that that's actually I do think that helps him. There was something else that I saw, Walton, I think you even commented on it in one of the group chats, was essentially, right, the votes, right? When supposedly one of the main things that was claimed is that Gen X came out to vote, right? All of a sudden, there was like a bigger Gen X presence, right, that just showed up to specifically vote for him. So
I guess all these we'll
have to see.
All these women got done having their abortions, and like they had some kids, and now they've got to feed their kids, and so they care more about inflation now. Maybe is that what's going on, Phil?
And Joe Rogan too, right? I mean, honestly, that campaign had a hell of a push at the end there. And then like Elon and Joe Rogan literally are like the day before the election, are like, this might be the last election. Like, I mean, if we don't win,
like, she's just not like, it's just terrible. Like, I always think like it's like the US have like terrible choices. Like all politician choices are pretty terrible, right? But like it's kind of comical sometimes how bad the choice is.
It takes so much money to be in that spot, dude. You have to be a certain kind of person willing to do a certain kind of thing. So it's going, again, it's not a chicken and egg. It's just someone is going to fill that spot. It's, even with the shitcoin casinos and all that, like someone is going to fill that spot. It's a battle for hearts and minds. It's a matter of, educating, but inspiring at the same time. We can't just write books, you know?
Gotta make
fuck
movies,
books, man. Yeah.
Gotta make
I'm
movies.
kidding.
We gotta make
Exactly.
content.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So we
What's
have
next?
like basically one more story, right? Which is friend of the show, David Zell. Very excited. He was, of course, on the little news desk live reporting the election. He says immaculate vibes in DC. Strategic Bitcoin reserve day one. Clarification: I'm bullish, extremely bullish. Nothing's a lock, but from my vantage point, the momentum behind the SPR is immense and growing rapidly. Lola Leitz, soon to be friend of the show.
That's right.
However, thinks that a strategic Bitcoin reserve will be built through confiscation and taxation, and Loomis is already hard at work to make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some like David Bailey doesn't think so.
No, of course not.
I'm intrigued as to kind of what happens with that kind of stuff. I certainly have asked, like, well, what can happen in the UK with theirs? But apparently, like in the UK, we confiscated it from a Chinese citizen. So it's like if the UK then confiscates it, like as the government, rather than just like, oh, it's being held in some kind of temporary custody, then it's well, you're kind of nationalizing it, and is it you like then it becomes like a geopolitical thing. So it's going to be interesting to see like some of the kind of games that get played geopolitically with confiscated Bitcoin, because who you know, not your keys, not your coins, but like how much do people go to war over confiscated Bitcoin? We shall see. David Bailey, of course, thinks therefore we're going to the moon pretty soon. There are no decimals in Bitcoin, so this is a bit of a shitcoin DB. Like, you need to fix this.
He always does this. He's so ridiculous.
The floor price of Bitcoin apparently is now going to be $850,000 instead of $650,000. Not quite yet the $1 million that Odell was. What do they say? Stack sats and stay humble with your price predictions of last cycle. $1 million in 2021, Odell. Yeah, we're not even there. David Bailey doesn't even think that's happening soon either. So but
we didn't even hit the 100K yet.
Apparently the price is pumping soon. We're going to come back to that. Apparently Trump loves Britain, so he's going to save Britain too. Maybe we don't need to come back to that, but hopefully that'll happen. All right. So anyway, CTO, CEO, chief spook of Tether, etc. Paolo Arduino says that now basically they're doing oil. Oh look, so I mean, I've talked that the biggest indicator for hyper-Bitcoinization is when the global trade of oil is in primarily in dollars. Will that happen, or will we just see more what do they call it? Petrodollars? More petrodollars, right? More oil on dollars. Is Lola right? Is Mark Goodwin right that these statists in sheep clothing are just helping the largest terrorist organization in the world? And as he quotes his former colleague and other friend of the show, Shinobi, a government accumulating Bitcoin isn't going to help make it more scalable, isn't going to make it more private. It isn't going to protect it from government overreach and interference. So this brings the Hopium, because I'm trying to show you the two sides here, right? We have all of this Hopium, Trump, and everything's gonna make everything amazing. Is this news for Bitcoin, or is it news potentially for Bitcoiners in a particular jurisdiction? I never knew you were furry. Sorry, Shooter here is playing with something on his lap. All right, so
kitty cat.
Yeah.
All right, so
so like basically.
Oh, Walton, you're cutting
roses, it. Or like, is this all roses? Is it all positive? Or is this maybe there are trade-offs now being made? Bitcoiners are essentially choosing
NGU.
their country, choosing their bags over Bitcoin. Like, is the time preference of Bitcoiners changing? I think it's interesting that there is so much in kind of the Bitcoin space, right? There is the technical discussions, there are, you know, economists, there are people, the kind of politics type people, there are all these kind of Bitcoin culture type people. Like, what is Bitcoin? How much of this stuff affects Bitcoin, or are these just people that use Bitcoin that have other interests and they try and affinity scam Bitcoin with, you know?
Yeah. I mean, dude, awesome. By the way, great framing for that story. That was amazing. And as you were showing that, all I could think of is Tether is a U.S. government agency tasked with exporting the dollar. I mean, like, it's strange, right? Because a lot of people give, for whatever reason, there's a certain sect of Bitcoiners, group of Bitcoiners that like to give Mark, a hard time for his really, I think, incredibly in-depth research. Him and Whitney Webb, right? They do incredible research, and it may not be something that makes you feel good, but we should be grateful that we're sorry.
It's a joke. I said never heard of her. Like, I have heard of her, but I've genuinely never consumed any of her content.
No, me neither. But Mark, I read, but Mark, I read his tweets and I follow his stuff. Right, so, they give him a hard time. And I don't think so. Like, I think he's one of the few Bitcoiners that's actually portraying, right, the reality of the situation. He's not sitting there like, it's like people sit there and look at it like, oh, you're bashing Bitcoin and this and that. And it's like, no, we're being realistic.
Pockets, dude.
Sorry?
People talk their pockets. People talk their money. People, what do you say? Like, no man is greater than his incentives. This just because we're in Bitcoin doesn't mean a lot of voices aren't bought. Like,
yep.
Yeah, I think
people are trying to sell their voices, and people like what are they called again? I guess people like Swan don't have as much money to kind of buy voices anymore. So like people are going, well, who can I sell my voice to? And I think Tether have got a lot of money. So yeah, anyway, what's the other one's called? Bitfinex, right? Bitfinex Freedom Tour. It's helping some people out because they're two separate companies.
I always get them confused, and I always think they're together. Sorry, Shooter, go ahead.
No, that's all right. Yeah, I think I always imagined Bitcoin's going to be around for 1,000 years, and if you think about that, you think about trends.
1,000 years, that's a claim. I like that.
Yeah, at least 1,000. But yeah, again, like the government embracing it. One thing that Bob Burnett talks about is the hash rate, and we need a certain percentage of the hash rate to be with like small to medium sized miners. And that he wrote like this dystopian story of like, hundreds of years in the future when 99% of the hash rate is like, in big, huge mining farms. And if all those get shut down, the block time would be like fucking obliterated, right? It just like takes so long. So again, I think we need all the perspectives. We need the good ones. We need everybody, to be like water and to imagine every, like a potential attack or whatever. Because we don't know how it's going to go. We've never done this before, I think I always believe that Bitcoin will work no matter what, because it infects us as creators, as whatever we do, and we see the opportunity at hand. And so we will take this opportunity seriously. And but we've never done it before, so it may not work out. But I don't know. It's hard. Again, this all sounds like the world trending in a better direction, but I don't know. And again, it's like Bitcoin is money for enemies, right? Of course. Why would you want your enemies to have the money? That's not what that saying means. It means that you can't stop them no matter what. So you have to deal with it. And so I understand. Again, people are criticizing Bitcoiners that are going and lobbying or trying to, get the government to do this, but I don't know. I can't say definitively that it's a wrong thing to do. I think we should all do what we think is best. And I think it's all going to work out in the end. I don't know.
Everyone's going to Everyone's going to play
That's some
their role.
hopium. It's all going to work out in the end, guys. You're good. All right. That's it. We're good.
We're good?
Yep.
All right.
Right.
We're good.
But it's because of us that are involved in it. So if it doesn't work out, then we've failed. And so
No, I like this. The only thing I'm more bullish on than Bitcoin is Bitcoiners. I keep coming back to it.
Yeah. So, you know, if it fails, then we failed. And again, I don't know, man. This life is so fucking weird. It feels like everything happens for a reason, and it's all kind of like it's on a current stream, and it's gonna flow the way it's gonna flow. So I think it's better to be optimistic, you know, be aware, be cautious, don't be stupid. But it's better to feel good about the future and to you know and to try to keep, you know, pushing for the things that you believe are good for Bitcoin. And ultimately the market will decide, or we'll fuck it up, and then fuck it, who cares? We all die in the end anyway. I think this is all just a game. And when we die, like, all of these things are petty. This whole existence. That's what I think. So at the end of the day, it's just a game, and I think we're gonna win this game, and I feel good about it. And if it doesn't happen, that's okay. I'll see you guys on the other side, man.
I was gonna say we'll get another turn. It's okay. But guys, this is gonna wrap up the show. But before we go, Shooter, one last time, how can everybody find the movie? How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so nomoreinflation.com. You can pre-order it right now. It'll be a little cheaper. You'll get access to more extended interviews as I put them out. I'm gonna put out a total of 21. But yeah, go there, Twitter at BitcoinShooter. But yeah, really just the film is like the culmination of 2 years of work. And, you know, I don't really care for the Twitter and like the follower count. All of it was to do this, to get the awareness, to get the help I needed to actually make this happen. And so really, it's all about the film. I hope you watch the film. I hope you enjoy the film. If you have feedback, good or bad, let me know. And yeah, that's it, man. I hope you enjoy.
Final question. What's the cool wooden thing behind you? Gotta know. It's just,
oh, man.
Yeah. Is it a door? Like, what is that?
It's
is it a cupboard?
cabinet.
Like, that thing looks cool as fuck. Like,
yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's a cabinet filled with like puzzles and games.
You've got to
and
pull
it looks like a puzzle
levers,
itself.
And then you get like it just like one
Yes.
tap signer falls out, and it's
So
part
it's
of
like-
it's part of like a 14 of 21 multi-sig. And
Yeah.
that's just like he's got 21 of these cupboards like around
Look at
the world.
this.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Multi-sig. Let's go.
Focusing, but yeah, so it's a key.
There it is,
and
it
then-
focused.
Yeah.
It goes
Oh
right
my
there,
God.
and it's got like a,
Yeah.
Holy crap. That's nice. That's
it's got a bunch.
See, they don't make that stuff like that anymore.
Yeah, my mom actually we were homeschooled growing up, so my mom she put her own fucking curriculum together. She used to get us these brain teaser games and shit like that. She always thought it was good for us, so we keep it around now for the younger generation. We do it during Christmas and Thanksgiving and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the toy box.
Critical thinking is becoming a superpower, unfortunately, but that's okay. Bitcoin fixes this because it makes everything better. All right, guys, that is going to wrap up this episode of Pleb Underground. Don't forget to check us out on our audio-only platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. If you want to stream us sats, check us out on fountain.fm. Walton, how do we end this?
Life's a bit like golf. Don't burn it all on the start 9. Fuckshitcoins.com. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
More toxic than the most toxic Bitcoin maxi ever.